going to switch gears right now and head to Boise, Idaho for the trial of 55-year-old Chad Daybell. He's charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder for his late wife, Tammy Daybell, and his second wife's kids, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan. Chad Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell, died from what was believed to be natural causes. And when Chad Daybell was asked by authorities if an autopsy could be conducted on his late wife, he declined one. Later, on the body of Tammy, when it was exhumed, they did an autopsy, and her death was determined to be by asphyxiation or suffocation. 2 weeks later, Tammy Daybell's death, the defendant married his second wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, in Hawaii while Chad and Lori were off getting married. Lori's children, J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, were still missing. Now, a search warrant was conducted at the property of Chad Daybell, and the remains of Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow were found in his backyard. Remember, Lori Vallow Daybell already stood trial for the death of her children and Tammy Daybell. She was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. She was sentenced to life in prison. Both Chad and Lori believed that the end of time was approaching. They also believed that people were being zombies and that those zombies had to be destroyed, including through physical death. Prosecutors argued that both Chad and Lori used their religious beliefs to justify the murders. During the trial, we heard from Zulema Pastenes, and she is the widow of Alex Cox. Alex Cox is the brother of Lori Vallow Daybell. While Zulema was on the stand, she testified about Lori and Chad's religious beliefs, as well as castings which she participated in. Let's listen to one particular casting she discussed about the late Tammy Daybell.
Did you ever hear that Tammy was dark?
Yes. That she had been possessed by a demon, and that she had also become a zombie.
Did you ever participate in a casting on Tammy?
Yes, once.
Do you recall when that was?
I believe it was October 9th of 2019.
Do you recall where the casting took place?
It was at Melanie Pulaski's house. Lori had contacted me earlier that day and said that she needed my help with something, that she was in town and that she was at Melanie's house and that she wanted me to come over there that evening. So I went there.
Did Lori indicate anything to you in relation to knowledge of castings?
She said that they had been given some new information on how to do castings, and that this time that we were going to use the Cosmos to do this casting, and that's how we were going to proceed.
And when you say they, is that Chad and Lori?
Yeah, usually when she would refer to they, it would mean her and Chad had new information.
Who participated in that casting on Tammy?
It was just me and Lori.
Did you end up learning something had occurred in Idaho around the same time you were conducting the casting?
Much later, I put two and two together that was the same night that someone had attempted to shoot Tammy.
After the casting, did you hear Lori on the phone?
Yes, she was on a phone call afterwards.
How did she appear?
She was extremely angry. She was irate. I had never seen her that upset. She was like it's scary angry. And she was calling whoever she was on the phone with. She was calling this person names like moron, idiot, stupid, and very, very, very angry.
And after she got off that phone call, did she say anything to you?
Yeah, right after she hung up, the phone, she said, "Idiot, can't do anything by himself."
Okay, we have Matt Tympanik and Florina Altshuler here to help us break this down. All right, so on the stand, we had Zulema Pastenes. So she is the wife of now deceased Alex Cox. She's testifying that she was with Lori. They were doing these castings, and Tammy Daybell was one of the people, because she was on the darker side, that they were performing this casting. How does that help the prosecution?
Very similar to the other case we just talked about, motive. Again, not an element of the crime, but it certainly paints a clearer picture to support purposeful intent. Crazy, crazy case, crazy story here, but these people genuinely believed that there were forces that were good and evil, and that some people were possessed by these dark spirits and therefore had to be killed.
Exactly. And I do think the prosecution is putting their case forward, Matt. One of the things that Zulema also testified about was this phone call where Lori was talking about yelling at someone and, "You fool, you idiot, you did something wrong." And we know that that was Alex Cox. How does that help the prosecution's case?
It definitely kind of corroborates on the night of when there was an attempt on Tammy Daybell, kind of putting that forward as essentially being like, the way I could have interpreted it and the way a jury could have been, it's like, I know what you did and you shouldn't have done that and you're an idiot for doing that. And I definitely think hearing that, one of the things I saw with this direct that I wanted to comment on is every question was going towards actually proving a point. As we saw just in the Karen Reed case, prosecution wasn't doing that. And in the Daybell case, prosecution is doing a much better job getting their points across. They don't need to be theatrical or anything, but every question needs to go towards a point and to go towards a specific fact, and they're doing that here.
I agree with you 100%. Don't forget, also, they've had experience with the Lori Daybell case prior to this. All right, let's listen to some more of Zulema's testimony regarding Tammy Daybell and her death, and Zulema's late husband being considered a protector by the defendant.
You talked about light and dark.
Yes.
Is it your understanding that that anybody can have the ability to determine whether someone's light or dark?
No.
So so you believe that it's just Chad Daybell who can determine whether someone's light or dark. Is that right?
I couldn't say that it is me, the one that has determined that is Chad, only the one that can do that. It was because Chad was the one that said that he had access to his portal, and through his portal, he was getting information from the spirit world about things such as light and dark and people.
So based on that answer, then it would not be an ordinary power to be able to determine whether someone was light or dark, correct?
No, it wouldn't be an ordinary thing to do.
Okay. And in terms of powers and roles, you talked about Alex Cox having the power as the warrior or the protector. Do you recall that?
Yes.
All right, so much going on in this trial. Sometimes I don't know where to start, but Florina, that was a cross-examination of Zulema by the defense attorney. And he's trying basically to establish that, you know, Chad Daybell is innocent here, and he's talking about the light and the dark. What does he need to get out of Zulema? Remember, she has immunity here, and so she's not going to get into any trouble, whether she's testifying on behalf of the prosecution or whether the defense is trying to get information out of her. What is the defense trying to get out of her?
I don't think he got there yet. What he should get out of her is anytime a witness has immunity, they have motive in this case, right? Their testimony is in exchange for that immunity. Their testimony could be biased. And he really hasn't gotten into that bias element quite yet.
Right, exactly. And you know what, Matt? We know that they're pointing the finger at Alex Cox. He's supposed to be the protector of Lori. And basically, he's not here. He's dead. He's passed away. So That's helpful to the defense, correct? Because they can point the finger all day if he's the protector, he's the one who did this, and maybe it wasn't Chad Daybell. I would think that that's what the defense is trying to show here.
Yes, absolutely. It's much easier to basically point the finger at somebody who's not alive to defend themselves, who can't even appear to testify in court to refute anything. So defense definitely wants to go there. And I agree with Farina. They need to, that motive element, what you definitely want to get out of this witness here is that they have a motive to lie. They have immunity, that their testimony is bought and paid for. But it seems he's getting too much into the weed about the light and the darkness. And the jury's like, I don't know, am I reading like a horror novel or is this a criminal murder trial? So I think he needs to get to the point a little quicker than he is right now.
I agree.